Hi, my name is Thatoyaona Marumo, and I'm an under 40 CEO.
The African Renaissance. The concept that the African people and nation shall overcome the current challenges confronting the continent and achieve cultural, scientific, and economic renewal is here, with young men and women taking the lead. Some call them the new school heroes. We call them under 40 CEOs.
Thatayaona Marumo grew up in the city of Johannesburg in South Africa. His interest as a young man would later take him to the Garden Institute of Business Science, where he studied business and entrepreneurship. He also bagged another degree in investment management from the Stellenbosch University. Thatayaona is a serial entrepreneur who has co-founded a number of startups. He is the co-founder of Domestly, a firm advancing the way South Africans clean their homes by utilizing technology to connect cleaning professionals directly to homeowners. All right, welcome to Under 40 CEOs, Thatayaona.
Thank you for having me.
You attended the Garden Institute of Business Science, where you read business and entrepreneurship, and then subsequently you attended the Stellenbosch University, where you read investment management. Please do share about your childhood and what informed the direction for your education.
Absolutely. So I born in Mafeking and then grew up in the city of Johannesburg. And so this for me has always been, I guess, the city of gold. And I've always, to put it blunt, I've always been kind of interested and fascinated about money and what makes an economy, what makes business drive. And hence my link with that. And I was fortunate enough while doing my final year at matric level in grade 12 to have this opportunity to be part of the Spirit of Entrepreneurship program, which was run by Gibbs. So that was actually my first entry point into entrepreneurship, into business. And that really kind of set me up in the sense of once that was wrapped up, investment management became quite a natural progression for me to understand the kind of the role and the movement of money and kind of the potential that can do from a big business perspective. Yeah.
You also worked as a radio presenter for 6 years. Was that born out of passion or just pure happenstance?
I think a combination of both. So it was brought to, the opportunity came up for me with a company called Shinda Entertainment, which focused on education from an entertainment perspective and kind of how do we bring a word about actually like activists for entrepreneurship. So for me, I've been really passionate about entrepreneurship and kind of the vehicle and tool that it is. And so this opportunity to be on radio came about and I enjoyed it, yeah.
All right, so you were vice president for an organization called Enactus.
Yes.
For 2 years,
yes.
Whilst at Stellenbosch University. Please do let me know what were the organization's goals and what was your role within it?
The organization previously known as SIFE, or commonly known as SIFE, was ultimately the core focus behind it was how to mobilize students to become socially conscious business owners and business entrepreneurs and business leaders, right? The idea was to use sort of like typical pillars such as marketing, economics, issues like environmental sustainability, business ethics, and how do we kind of bring a social conscious, a social kind of element to how we do business. So I was the vice president of the organization for 2 years in a row, and it was all about launching projects, launching businesses, sustainable businesses and projects. So yeah, it was really quite exciting, and at one going time we had like 10, 15 projects going on, which is 10, 15 businesses, which was literally run by students and kind of impacting the community around. And so yeah, it was really about sustainable difference.
Wow. So your journey in entrepreneurship wouldn't be complete if we don't talk about your co-founding an organization called Nucleus?
Correct, yeah.
Please do tell me about
so
that.
Nucleus became a forum where we could bring students right across campus together. So, you know, as you can imagine, you got the engineers and one faculty, you got the arts and commerce and kind of on different faculties, but how do we bring everybody together into one forum where we meet on a regular basis? So I kind of think the best way to think about it is talks and conversation where we brought some key individuals, those that either kind of graduated from the University of Stellenbosch that are busy doing their own thing and kind of really exploring that whole network. And from there, it was really interesting to see how students would then connect and build businesses. And even for myself, that's how I found my co-founder as well. So it's kind of all those elements of kind of bringing the whole networking and having conversations about the potential and kind of how do we view entrepreneurship as a potential career path as well.
Okay, so you co-founded Domestly with Berna.
Correct.
And of course, you're connecting cleaning professionals to homeowners. Now, I know there's some other companies with the same proposition.
Yeah.
basically? What's the unique selling proposition for
Correct.
Domestly?
Fantastic. Well, the key difference between how Domestly does is how we package our solution. So we package it as a marketplace. So ultimately, we are the platform and we're letting the market play for itself. So we bring together the demand and supply. So what does that mean practically? Is that we don't dictate anything, right? So the cleaning professionals that get onto our platform operate independently in the sense of they set up their own rates. So what would happen is you would then search in your particular area, see who's available, and you'll be given with a whole list of different cleaners and different rates. So it's a very different, more transparent process where we're not standardizing the market, but we're letting the professionals kind of dictate for themselves how much they want to earn, which areas they want to service, and which days they want to work. So we are literally that platform where we just kind of bring the trust element together and kind of make sure we are the wheels behind carrying this marketplace.
Amazing. Now, Domestly was a partnership. How would you advise a budding entrepreneur to go about selecting a partner? And how did you make your partnership work?
One of the key things is you got to take time with this. Like everything else, it's about key relationships. And a lot of the time, it's not enough to say we're both excited about an idea. It's kind of, there's a lot of stuff because it's ultimately got to think of it as a marriage. It's one of those commitments that you make into an individual to kind of carry on with this vision. So I think there's a number of things that you can look into. And I think for me, one of the biggest things I've noticed is that there's got to be sort of an element of equal risk and equal reward. The stakes need to be the same, for both partners in that situation, because you don't want one operating from, an element of desperation, the other one's got time on their hands. If you can get that sense of urgency and kind of that risk-reward balance correct, I think that sets a good foundation for a really strong partnership.
All right, please do share about the Bandwidth Bond program and how it helped, grow your business.
The Bandwidth Bond for me, for us as a business, became an opportunity for us to really hit the ground running. So the Bandwidth Bond is an initiative by the City of Cape Town, and that focuses on incubating businesses. So you would come there, kind of present your idea, and they kind of offer you physical office space, and there's also kind of programs that you can get involved in from a training perspective that really kind of help you kind of broaden your reach and kind of understanding your skill set a little bit more. So for us, they've been so fantastic in the sense we moved in there 2 years ago, and as we've grown, they've grown with us. I mean, we've literally broken down walls so that we can extend our office, and bring in more people. So they really understand what it means for a startup or business that will start with 2 individuals, grow to 10, grow to 15, and how do they meet those needs from an infrastructural point of view, as well as kind of support network base.
Okay, so I see a number of investors listed on the website for Domestly. Now, how did you go about getting these investors in and raising the much needed funding to start up the business?
It is quite a lengthy process, particularly from a networking perspective in terms of a process perspective. I think it was literally a one-on-one conversation with the individuals. I think it was one of the big things for us was trying to find individuals that will get excited about the vision. It is the cleaning space, particularly in South Africa, is quite a stagnating industry, and our approach was really to flip it on its head, flip the model on its head. So to find individuals who can get excited about the vision and the direction of the business was something key for us. And that took some time. I think it took about between 8 to 12 months, so a full year of finding the individuals. And what was great is once we've kind of secured the first and second one, they actually brought the others a part of that. So, it was literally kind of a testament of their belief in what we do, and they kind of brought individuals in their network. So it started as one who really got excited, they brought in the next, and the other brought in the next, and we're able to launch the business with 4 angels to kick it off.
This is Under 40 CEOs.
Domestly launched in Cape Town and now operates in Rosebank, Fourways, and Sandton. The company is set to launch in Pretoria, Midrand, and Centurion. Thatayaona is quite the businessman and will believe, as he does, that partnerships must not be rushed into. It took 4 angel investors and several pitches in a lengthy process for Domestly to take off, and will believe this, as with all of his other ventures, are quite well-structured companies. All right, you talked about scaling from 2, just 2 of you, to 10 and 15 tell me, what's the current business structure that you left behind at Domestly?
Great. So my co-founder, Bernard, serves as the CEO of the business, and I then served in the capacity of the chief operating officer of the business. So I particularly looked at the entire operation. So the business, I guess, is divided into, a couple of divisions. Operations, which looks at within the recruiting side of the business. So those that kind of going out there and aggressively finding the domestic workers and cleaning professionals and taking them through quite a rigorous interview process. We've got the recruiting side. We've also got a whole call center set up of the business, which focuses on the logistics and making sure that customer support, cleaner support, handling all those kind of queries, making sure that the cleaners are well on their way, directed and not getting lost. And then we've got a marketing side of the business, which really focuses on our branding and making sure that we are aggressively kind of growing and that word is going out there about our business. So it's kind of a very streamlined business model. And then that kind of brings together a total of 15 full-time staff.
All right, so back to the business now. I find this rather interesting. So I saw this instance online where someone had their home cleaned and then the stove was broken and, it was reported on your Facebook page.
Yeah.
Who's liable for these damages?
Yeah, so
the cleaner or Domestly?
That's I guess the great value proposition that we bring in. So we are the go-to element in terms of where we will then deal with these particular situations. So how it will go about is we then go into serve as do an investigation to really understand what has happened. So we kind of bring, depending on what the issue is, we bring specialists involved to go on site to have a look at what happened. Could this be damages caused by the cleaner? Because to be honest, sometimes you do get chances. But, so we have to really run a full investigation to make sure where we're at. But part of our strong value proposition is the insurance element. So we do cover these things because it's the type of business where these, damages, accidents do happen. So our role is to make sure that, the customer has a peace of mind from that perspective, that there is a coverage for any of these type of sorts. And then we run through the process, and it's generally a really great process where we want to have a quick turnaround time. We don't want to disrupt anybody's life. And our team, who our call center side, kind of just jumps on that and make sure that everything is ironed out.
All right. So what are the most critical lessons you've learned and can share on running a business to profitability and keeping it profitable?
Key fundamental things. I think number one, it starts with the individuals in the team. From really not compromising on the type of talent that you bring into the business. I think we all do know and appreciate that ideas are just ideas. It's all about the execution, and with the execution is linked up with the individual. So kind of the skill set that you have, the expertise that is around the table, that kind of system brings us out. So that's one of the key things, right? And then one of the things is it's discipline. One of the major things in terms of, you've got to be focused on doing the right things, and regardless of how it may look, regardless of kind of the roller coaster ride that you actually go through, trying to be in a position where you're actually remaining focused on the bigger vision, right? And then I think number three is something else I'll say, you got to be really agile. We really got to listen to what the industry is saying, what your customers are saying. In our situation, because Domestly deals with two customers, the cleaner supervisor, the cleaners, as well as the actual homeowner, business owner, right? You got to be listening to what they're saying, and you got to react and respond very quickly to that, because a lot of the time you don't know it all. So you learn a lot of lessons throughout the process. You just got to be very reactive and proactive in the sense of kind of how do you react with that feedback, how do you repackage and go ahead.
Okay, so your business has won a number of awards. Disruptive Innovation Award at Apps Africa, MTN App of the Year for 2016.
Yeah.
What would you say these nods, awards, accolades, what do they truly mean to you?
Yeah, I think a number of things. I think firstly, kind of it becomes an element of a credibility, in a sense of, you are, or validates that you are on the right track, that you are doing something, and then the world is recognizing the impact that it's doing. And for us, it's generally being a startup as well. It's great to have these noise and PR and kind of individual talking about it, because obviously you're working on a limited budget and all of these type of stuff. So that helps us scale and grow our business. I think from once we have taken the MTN Business App of the Year award, that's right after that we actually launched in Johannesburg due to the scale of the demand that came about. So it's really exciting for us because it gives us that recognition that we need. It gives us credibility from a customer and client perspective, and it offers the opportunity really just to scale and grow.
Okay, amazing. What would you say makes the business landscape in South Africa unique?
I guess I think it will probably be the same as kind of dealing with real issues. I think what I really get excited when I speak to entrepreneurs is that, I've had the opportunity to travel a bit in the States as well, where, we chat to entrepreneurs on that end that are very futuristic, which is exciting. We've got to build for the future. We've got to create the future. But we're looking at, when I particularly look at South Africa and the landscape of entrepreneurs and business that's happening, we're finding real issues being addressed and real impact is happening. And that is linked up with a futuristic type of perspective. So, what are the real issues on the ground? How do we deal with it? How do we deal with stagnating industries, right? And how do we create a new future? How do we create a new narrative and new behaviors? And that's what I really love. I think that's quite unique in terms of our approach in terms of how do we do business.
Okay, amazing. So we're getting the scoop on this new and exciting venture that you're just about to launch.
Yeah.
Could you please share about?
I'm one of those entrepreneurs that really understands, I think as an entrepreneur, you got to know what you're really good at. And for me, it's about kind of starting up with ideas, initiating them, taking them to a place where you can get individuals to run with and then move to the next. And that's exactly what's happening now at the moment. And so prior before joining Domestly, I've got a very strong recruitment element, worked for a global business in the space as a senior executive headhunter. And then previously to that, I'd launched a student platform as well within recruitment. So when it comes to talent management, talent acquisition, people placement, that is something I'm really passionate about. And I've kind of taken the time to spend a lot of time with around about 3-4 years, kind of studying the industry, the key role players, the practitioners, the trends in the space. So what I'm looking to do is then, obviously, from a tech perspective, really kind of get involved in this in this market, which is really globally, it's about like a $500 billion, $1 trillion kind of industry. So really kind of step into that to kind of see what the opportunities lie there.
Okay, so talking about the market, what are those key challenges that you've had to overcome in this market to make the strides you've made so far?
In particular with Domestly, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the key challenges is customer behavior, right? I think we're in an industry where it has not changed for the last 20 years, right? So, for instance, how much a cleaner earns today is pretty much the same as it did 10, 15 years ago. So, with an industry that is just really used to getting things done, I think one of the biggest challenges is to educate the market and really get people excited about the new vision. And I think people are very comfortable how things happen, So, to kind of disrupt that pattern of behavior has been one of the challenges, because a lot of education has been really at the forefront, a lot of training. And for us, a bit of the challenges is that we're getting our service providers to operate as entrepreneurs. In essence, right? They really are their own brands. They're not working for us. They're working for themselves. They're building a client base for them. So there's a lot of training element from that perspective, in terms of how they're also used to getting things done. And now this is a new way of operating. This is a new way of customer relations and all of that. So that has been one of the key fundamental challenges, is that this industry has really remained the same. And people are comfortable with it. It's not, people are not asking for change. So when you're coming in from that perspective of offering a new, different way of getting things done, there's a lot of reservation. But once you really aggressive with your story and aggressive with the impact that's possible, you're starting to see, light bulbs light up and people's eyes open up and like, okay, great, this is actually what we need to be doing.
All right, still on the subject of human resource. It's a key element, of course, to consider when growing any enterprise.
Yeah.
How do you typically hire?
So for us, it's a very quite an aggressive process, in a sense of, I'm coming from that background myself in terms of looking for talent and making sure that you're getting the best talent. So we use a lot of those key skills that you typically would use in any form of, whether it's a senior executive recruitment type of process, because we want to get it right. You have to get it right. Simple things like company culture, simple things like one's own capability and performance, and what are they driven by. So we focus a lot on the why. We focus on what excites the individual to join our business, kind of the value, the add that they're able to do, and ultimately we look at from a future perspective, this individual starting with a particular role at the moment, what is the career development kind of process for this person? How do we see them within the Domestly in 6 months, in the Domestly in 15 months, whatever the case may be. Yeah.
Okay, so how would you describe your leadership style?
I'm very transparent, open with kind of those that you lead. I think it's, and very much collaborative, in the sense of, we all sit around the table and we're going to think of these problems together. Especially within a startup, everybody's pretty much right at the forefront. Everybody's kind of dealing with the same issues. And that those transferable kind of skills is really important. So if I had to kind of describe it, I'll say it's very inclusive, collaborative, and it's very people oriented. I really get excited about development of individuals, kind of where they go. So I'm always about where do you see yourself, and what can we do to get you there, and kind of how does this role kind of facilitate that for you?
This is Under 40 CEOs.
Spoken to well over 52 CEOs on this show, and they all tell me they failed at some point or the other.
Yeah. Yes, it certainly has been quite a few knocks. I think I've kind of, I think one that stems to mind is having the opportunity of previously working on a venture and managed to get a number of people excited about it, and not being able to raise funding, and really it's a lot of hard knocks that you get through, and at the end of the day, you've got to realize you're liable for of different people's livelihood, right? And it's very and when you don't get that right, when you can't meet those promises that you certainly strongly have conviction and believe that you do, it's a very low moment. But got to really pull yourself and really do everything that you can possibly to get that right.
Okay, so what are those key skill sets that a leader needs to acquire, to lead people?
Firstly, you got to start with equipping yourself, and then you can never stop doing that. I read a lot, and I think something that really resonates with me talks about the leadership lit. That your business or your organization, your team cannot go beyond a particular level that you are at. If your business won't outgrow you. So in order to grow and to continue going as a leader, you got to be genuinely having to be educating yourself, stretching yourself, so that can funnel down into the people that you're leading, into your business. So that's key, as one of the key elements. Discipline is very important. And I think transparency in terms of being open with what's going on in the business, and bringing everybody around the table together, and sharing in those issues that you do. So I'd like to be, as I'm sure a lot of individuals prefer, but for me it's all about being kind of almost the dumbest person in the room, right? And kind of bring the best minds on a particular issue around the table, and being able to kind of drive that from that perspective. Yeah.
All right. So tell me, what values would you say are important to you and your firm?
Transparency, definitely, and we talk about operational excellence. What that means is that being on top of whatever situation is going on. We got to be accessibly available for for all our customers or all our clients, right? And then one of them is really integrity is a very important one. It's and being able to take ownership when we have stuffed up on a particular issue, and being really firm where we need to actually be firm. So for us, it's about having fun as well. I think having fun, you got to enjoy what you do. So at the end of the day, you got to really get excited about the space that you are in, what you're doing. So that's the key thing that we look for in terms from a key value perspective. Yeah.
All right. So what would you say is the biggest letdown you've experienced in your career so far?
I think it's actually very, it comes from a personal perspective. I think, I've had previous ventures before, and I think the biggest letdown for me was not being able to meet the people that I follow, their expectation, their needs. There's a lot of, and when you have kind of made certain promises, and you certainly believe and have conviction around it, but you're not able to fulfill those things due to whatever reason, whatever circumstances. I think there's one situation that stands to mind, particularly for me, and that was a real hard moment as well. Was able to get that right. Yeah.
This is Under 40 CEOs.
We've had quite an interesting conversation thus far, and for a man who approaches hiring staff in an aggressive manner, but whose failings as a leader includes having to let his staff down by not meeting their expectations, we would like to know what else makes this CEO tick: his style, favorite destinations, his favorite book of all time, and more. All right. Okay, on to lighter stuff.
Yeah.
I have a few quick-fire questions for you. What do you love to eat?
Anything meat.
What CEOs do you currently look up to?
So there's number CEO like Andrew Miskell, which was one of the previous managing directors I looked to as well before. Yeah.
How would you describe your fashion style?
Smart casual, just be comfortable and looking neat.
Your favorite brands to wear?
Nike.
Your favorite car to drive?
The Ford.
Your favorite travel destination?
New York.
What's your favorite book of all time?
I'm a big fan of Malcolm Gladwell, so kind of his books. Outliers will have to be one, and then coupled quickly with The Tipping Point, the kind of
What book are you reading right now?
Currently reading kind of very far-fetched book on due diligence, which is really currently and actually focus on due diligence with a actually co-founder. So kind of going to almost like a pre-relationship type of due diligence. What do you do? The type of questions and engagement that you have with somebody before stepping into a business venture.
All right, finally, Thatayaona, tell me, what makes you happy?
Family and life, eh? I think just the mere existence to be able to breathe, for me that gives me life, and that makes me happy. My family means everything to me, and then the opportunity to be able to create and build. That for me, I guess that's my happiest moments. Kind of bringing all those three elements together. Yeah, that's what makes me happy.
All right, thank you for coming on Under 40 CEOs, Thatayaona.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
All right.
Excellent. My name is Thatayaona Marumo, and you too can be an under 40 CEO.
This is Under 40 CEOs.